See, who do we have on the line? I see Dr. Frank. He's somewhere up in the mountains, it looks like. And who else do we have, Alexi?
Caroline is also here. I'm just promoting her to analyze this. So she.
Caroline, you there?
Hi, good morning, everyone.
Hey, Sandra is CFP today.
I believe she's coming in person.
Okay.
I'm just here.
Oh, sorry, here?
She's here.
Oh, good.
Yes,
Mr.
Chair.
President's here.
Chairman Demo, I have.
He's not down yet, come on.
No.
Okay, anybody else on the line?
No. No, sir.
Great, good turnout today. Let's go ahead and get started. Call the meeting to order. Action items in the packet that Alexis sent out, includes the minutes of the last meeting. Where we have perfect attendance, great to see. A motion to approve the minute. Any changes, additions, or anything? All in favor, say aye.
Tiny change if it's okay.
You bet you don't.
I know this is silly, but I was reading through the list. You have everybody listed as the director by name. I'll show you where we can vote to approve it and also where,
Okay. I'm so sorry.
no worries. I'll do it.
Good morning. Burrito in your mouth. You
Morning, Sandra. Good morning. Good morning.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Chair? Things continue to move along very, very well. Obviously, we'll talk about the CEO search when the take y'all what's going on there. The question, so we'll have to talk about that too, primarily in the executive session, but we'll go things also. Including one today, and you'll see both progress out there. And exciting, I'm moving forward with the equestrian, the hotel, the parking lot, the other parking lot, I guess we'll talk about. The parking is always going to be key. I think the access in and out, that's one of the area when you drive in, we have kind of easier access and kind of more. Better. Coming to the campus. A lot going on in the community around us as far as road work and stuff, really disruptive, hopefully. At the end of the day, things look better for all residents out here, so making some good progress. CEO report, Brett?
We will be pretty fast and furious here.
You see that?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay.
So like John said, we'll talk about, you see in hotel project and executive session today. Next time you're out in the yards, peek in the window at the farm box. It is super, super cool. There's like food growing in there for real. And the next thing is to get that food being used right here on the campus and in the community. So exciting stuff. Up Northwest can talk about. I've got a few agreements we're working through. And then the last thing that I thought I added, but it must have been on the wrong version, our composting program. You smell that sort of compost smell when you park your car this morning? Sometimes I smell it. Everything that is, all of our waste is being turned into compost on this campus. Like all of it. It's either being composted or recycled. Yeah, all of this stuff is compostable. We are walking the talk campus wide on this. And just want to shout out to Joe and Corey and some of the other folks that have been working so hard on this and doing it in a partnership with another group so that it is no cost to us. And that, that can be a huge cost, the whole sorting thing and all that work. The system is working and it's growing and it is going to scale now because we're having, thousands of people every single weekend. It's a pretty neat thing. Next slide.
Hey, Joe, how do you compost plastics? Does that become little chemical, what it's not, but it's.
Not plastic.
Yeah, that is,
Awesome.
oh, okay. Yeah, so yes, these we compost, they go into a shredder first, a lot of times. If they don't, then they go into the earth flow, which can bring those through. It just takes a little bit longer. Ideally, we'll add one more element in here, a digester with a shredder. That takes all these two, breaks them all the way down so that they can just roll straight into the process. That's
I think it's a great idea. I mean, it's very good. With the smell to the community, that's not gonna be, we wanna make sure that something's to do. Keep that to know, so.
These are the upcoming events right now, but I wanted to have Joe go back and sort of talk about the events over the last month since we were last with.
Yeah, we had a pretty good array of different things coming through. We had Mary Kay Career Conference that had come over and had a really good time. They gave us great reviews. Looking forward to coming back. They actually want to bring their national event back here as well. We had another Super Fast, which is a late night event. If anybody's going to an overnight party, that's the one. We have those pop in periodically. Hunt and Fish came and did their debut here, had a good time. They interacted with Legacy and ourselves, so that was nice to see that engagement go pretty smoothly, but actually really smoothly between the two of them. Then Marketplace, we do a couple shows with Sportsman last year, but they brought in the home show this year. Archdiocese, as you all know, came because we had a parking drama that day, but we fixed that parking drama relatively quickly. Took a lot of good notes from that and have incorporated that into our movements with parking going forward, which I will say, and hopefully Jeremy and can attest to this, that we had an incredibly packed campus going on this last weekend with tons of events and all, unless someone's gonna pop something up on me here, we got through successfully with no issues, which is a huge step in the right direction for us. Rocky Mountain Prep, we've had before, they came back, they're doing their signing days, they come back, they love it here, they're very excited. And then we don't waste, the card show grew extremely large and they're ready to kind of grow again, adding in some Pokemon stuff and other elements, bring some other Bronco players in. And then just coming in right now, we have the Mineral Show, Kroger's event that's coming in that Lori will probably speak to, so I won't. And Bare Knuckle. So it's been a fun event for a couple of weeks that we just got through.
We are within, I won't say 10%, but I'll say 15% of goal contracted right now for the year. We have never been able to say that in the beginning of Q2. It is. It's been exciting and there's a lot of momentum and the livestock facility offerings are being sought after. It's really exciting.
Very people way up.
We've had people who have not been able to get dates. I wouldn't say we turned them away, I don't feel like that's the right, but they weren't able to get the dates that they wanted, so they didn't have to play. Really neat thing though, is just something that just kind of landed really well is USA Volleyball. They were down at the convention center, due to the Colfax Marathon. They were really disappointed at how they were gonna have logistical issues down there, so we were able to pivot that really quickly over here, which is opening the door to even more sports things like that. So they've actually been able to just navigate those really quickly. I think at this point, we really haven't had to turn away too much unless it's just something that we can't kind of pay for quickly.
The incoming contracts too are just through the rest of the year and in 27 are really exciting. Sales team landed a huge deal. Is High Rocks it's October 15th or something?
I think it's in November, this November, yeah.
You should check this out. HYROX. High Rocks is a CrossFit competition. And they will take the entire facility, arena, expo hall. Thousands and thousands of people, all in way better shape than me, will show up and compete over a weekend competition. They happen all over the country, very sought after CrossFit competition event. It was a big get for us. And some concerts too. Concerts are starting to. Right.
All right, look at those numbers will show up in 2027 for revenue.
Yeah,
There you go.
yep.
Yeah, I think one fun thing, I won't go off too much on this, there's one other thing I wanted to point out, Brad, if I could, is the ASFP construction Hike for Hope. That's kind of, we do a ton of construction here, that's bringing awareness to the mental health issues within the construction industry, because they have a high suicide rate inside of that. So that'll be going on campus here, so if you are around and they will wanna be in that, that's one that's gonna be, they're excited for this year, it's a little off, because they wanna do it on the river, but next year they'll come back and go down the river and back again. And we're working with WSSA to get from June 28th to July 28th next year, held offline to get some adult events in here as well. I don't know the best way to describe it. Alright, yeah, so that'll be nice to be able to weave those in as well. So 27 is gonna be fun, 26 is fun, 27 is gonna be fun.
Joe, is this list inclusive of the entire campus, including the hill, or is this just on?
No, these are just, in this one, we only report on what we're doing.
Okay.
We do have the campus coordination calendar, and yeah, if we layer in what CSU's doing and Legacy and the Triangle, I'm too long for this.
There's things like ThriftCon that have historically been up on the hill are now moving.
That one is great. It's a balance. We need to keep events up there. Yep, some are just, they want to move, so we've been really trying to keep that balance in place.
Great, thank you.
Joe, I should know this, the events that are on the other side. You put events there?
Not yet. We're starting, we are in a sense, because we're booking them now for 27.
Okay.
Stock shows finish it out for, the remainder of this year.
Any other questions on events? Next slide. So Lori will do community engagement update. That's our focus area presentation today, and I think we are done.
I'm done. Oh, hey, bring here. Laura's gonna do something. I apologize. You get vice chair supposed to do, so I would wait for Laura. That's in my brain on top. Anything else, Brad? Good question. Really excited about the events and the bookings for 2027. I mean, we're looking at some good numbers there. Obviously, at some point, this campus needs to start breaking even, making money, and we're really on our way. So great job, Joe and the whole team. So that's exciting to hear. Party reports, City and County of Denver. The information is in the packet. Mike, can you highlight for you?
Just that we are getting close to issuing NTP for the pedestrian bridge, so construction for that will be starting later this year. We will do a groundbreaking once we have a little more information on schedule. And then just a lot of work going into the Triangle Community Vision Plan. And is it our turn next meeting to present our quarterly?
Yes,
Perfect.
yes.
That'd be great timing. We can give an update on the first day, the results from our first survey. We had 25 applications for block captains, and I believe we are getting down to actually 15 folks who are getting signed up. We've got 4 different community organizations on board signed up. So the Triangle Planning and Engagement is moving ahead full force.
Mike, are those the paid positions you
Yes.
advertised?
Yep.
Wow, that's a pretty good turnout, right?
Yes,
Is that-
we're very.
So that was effective.
That triangle is gonna be a very, very intense piece of property, a lot of attention.
Yes.
So. Any other questions for Mike? They'll have a quarterly update next month. CSU, Jeremy.
Yes,
Doug, you go by this week, Jeremy?
you got it right.
I'll get your name right. The information is in the packet. Jeremy, any highlights you want to hit?
We were excited to participate in the groundbreaking for the parking garage last week, so that was fun. And second Saturdays continued to be wildly successful this last month. Or this last week, we had FFA had a whole campus takeover for CSU Sliver, so first time having a tractor on campus, so it was fun.
Any questions for Jeremy? Thanks, Jeremy. Western Stock Show Association, Wes?
Yeah.
So this is my official month to give a quarterly update, so we'll roll through this a little bit quickly, and mine's focused a little bit historically versus kind of what is going on with the garage and those kind of things. So you can go to the next slide, please. So we'll talk about legacy events. I'm talking about the Wilson Art Gallery going forward, and then some member activities that are going on. So go ahead. So it's hard to see, obviously, up there and easier to look at, but right at 200 events through in the legacy as we look at going forward through the end of 26. And those are both ones that are contracted and ones that are expected. And so, and really the prospect events are those that I only included the prospect events that I felt like were actually going to turn. And so in talking to Jim, this does include stock show at about 70 events. And so I just think it's important for y'all to see that that building was extremely busy at stock show. And the cool thing was the connection to the Big Sioux. And the interaction between those two buildings is so cool, and what happens at it and how we have folks coming and going. And so I think it's very important that, you know, just as a connection, as we continue to develop these connections across year round, but also it stock shows important. Next slide. So just that's rental revenues for us. Again, I don't know that number off the top of my head and I can't see it. So, but those still are strong in what we're seeing and a lot of demand. So next slide. I do want to talk a little bit about the art gallery and what we're doing to inside the building with our two public spaces, if you will. So the Wilson Art Gallery, the Wold Heritage Center, both are starting to stand up, and we're learning to crawl before we run, so to speak. And so during stock show and to this point, we've been the same exhibit in both buildings or both spaces. We will have our first turnover into photography in the Wilson Art Gallery. So this is in the front part of that. Our permanent collection's in the back part of that space, or right versus left. And so this one starts May 15th. It started moving in yesterday, or we moved out the old one yesterday. And so anticipation of about 3 turns a year in our art gallery. We'll look at Wold, only probably having 2 turns a year. So the next turn for the Wold Heritage Center will actually be livestock and equine related, because there have been some very famous animals that have shown at stock show over the last 120 years. And so we're going to highlight some of those and the impact they had in the industry. So part of us standing all this up as well is that the traction has also started with kind of events long-term, and that we signed a 5-year agreement with the Cowboy Artists of America to move their show and sell here in October from Fort Worth, because they were here during stock show. So that space, again, talking specifically about the space, has allowed us to do some things. We're also working very closely with the Cowboy Hall of Fame and National Western Heritage Museum in Oklahoma City to be a traveling exhibit spot for them. So we'll actually use second floor to do that in amongst some of the events. So if you ever wanted to know the history of the cowboy movie, I think you're going to be able to get to see that this fall. So, yeah. So the next slide. Yeah, look ahead. And I didn't put this on here as a big slide, but for those of y'all that may or may not be members of our association, for the last 2 months, we've done member lunches. And it's something that we know we do every day at Stock Show. That's a big deal. At Stock Show 25 in the old club, we served 2,400 meals. This year at Stock Show, we served 8,600. And so just the amount of space we could use. So the last 2 months, actually yesterday, we did our second one that ultimately served 140 meals at lunch. And we did about 143 the month before. And I share this because part of what we did was to, if you know anything about our association, in order to be a member, you have to be nominated. It is a lifetime membership. There's some barriers to entry, if you will. and being a part of that. So one of the things out of our strategic plan was to create an annual membership that eased that barrier to entry and made it more affordable to be a part of our association. It still restricts whether you get voting rights in our organization, because that's restricted to lifetime membership, but we're looking for ways to ultimately engage with our community around us, as well as the greater community within Denver and Colorado. And so this is a way for us to start doing this. The other thing is that starting in May the 4th, because we wanted to be with you. We are gonna have our first opening of the saloon, and our kind of May, we want you all to be our test subjects and come hang out at the saloon, and we'll test Steve's karaoke skills a little bit, at that. And so the plan is that we'll start working with Joe and crew to make sure we're sequencing this right, that the saloon will open up. So you'll get an invitation for you and your staffs to come and be a part of that as we kind of soft open those things. And with intentions of having themed Thursdays probably throughout the rest of the summer, starting in June. So that it'd be open to the public, but we need to, again, walk before we run. So any questions for me?
Any questions for us? Wes, you got such a beautiful building there, a beautiful asset. And I compliment you on, you guys are really using it the right way. Both the internal and external. So what kind of people or what kind of groups do you see, non-agricultural, non-ranching, that are asking for space? Are you getting all kinds of business groups?
Yeah, some weddings, some wedding receptions. We've done 2 memorial services, so I don't know which end of that, is that is a wedding a happy thing or an unhappy thing? I don't know. It's pretty hard.
Sound like the same event.
Yeah, same event.
Good point.
And then we are getting a number of we are looking at a lot of some of the fundraisers here in the community that are, obviously nonprofit driven, looking at those coming in. A lot of just individual meetings yesterday. A number of our sponsors have used the space, like Pepsi was in the building yesterday doing a training with their staff on the 2nd floor. So we're seeing a lot of those things that are happening.
How do you define the capacity for those?
So those are all based on occupancy loads. So the capacity so like, as an example, upstairs, classroom style, we did 550 in just the big part of the club. We can seat in round tables. That number for the Ladies of Liberty was 475 with buffet service in the middle. So you can squeeze that big space at the top to about 550 is probably the most comfortable. The space on the 2nd floor, which is ABCC or American Values Conference Center, is roughly 350 if you're seated for banquet style. If we do it classroom style, then it'll push 500 in there. So the other space is 60 in the smaller conference suite, about 20 in our boardroom. Although we don't rent it publicly, we will allow our partners and anybody in this room that wanted to use it, but it's not actually open for public rental. So
A great boardroom.
it's a cool boardroom. That's why we don't rent it publicly. We're gonna keep it pretty as long as we can. So until I'm gonna make sure that some board member is the first one to scratch the table.
Great. Any other questions for Wes? Great, thanks, Wes. All good news coming out of WSSA. Community update provided during the board meeting. Want to start with Sandra?
Yes, so I have some updates. We started with the Triangle Project orientation 2 weeks ago, which it was really fun. Because we had residents getting involved in that. And this past Saturday, we were helping flyering during the event, the 2nd Saturday event. And we didn't see much community from ES. But we gave a bunch of flyers to people and they were all doing the survey, so. It was great, there was many people there. And we started also doing around our neighborhood. We got some flyers, so we started. And I'm taking my kids, so Nicole's applied for that, so she's helping a lot. And yeah, and we have our training this Saturday. So we're gonna get our shirts and badges and everything on Saturday. And what else I have? Oh, we have a networking event coming up. For women, I don't know if you've seen the flyer that we sent in. And I want to thank the sponsors that are helping also the event, John, Mark. What else? Sorry, I have so much pain in my back. No.
Congress is a lot of back pain, I just prefer to be here, I'm pretty amazed, do you wanna take a break, Congress, you okay?
I think I'm gonna have to go.
Okay. Well, I'm our most dedicated board member, just to be here.
Oh, yeah.
So. The event, I think you're speaking at the event, aren't you, Bert? You and, Daryl Watson, who else? There's a third person. I think for this, yeah, and so, sure. Great, anything else, Roger? Okay, right, okay. Thanks. Caroline, any updates?
Hi, not a huge update from me, just a reminder for next month's Tortillas for Tepeyac event. That is going to be on May 28th, so we'll actually this year have our board meeting before the May Tepeyac event. So that's a little bit new because usually it's a little earlier in the month, but we've mixed things up a little bit. So we'll get to chat one more time before we have that fun event. And I know that Lori had already talked about getting a table and all that, so I'm really looking forward to how much fun this event is going to be with a lot more of us there this year. It's going to really be a great time. It always is, but every year I look forward to it just a little bit more, I think.
I know I made this comment last time, Caroline, but are you sure this is just once a year? We're always talking about how it just happened or it's coming up the next month. We just have a lot of tortilla rolling. There.
We need those tortillas immediately. They're, you know, some of them come out really good. Some of them come out, they're really abstract and creative, but either way, it's going to be a great time.
Great, I think Brad's rolled a few in the past time.
Yeah, I fall in the abstract category.
Yeah, right.
A true artist.
Yeah. Anything else, Caroline?
That is just about it for me this month.
Great. Other thanks for being here. Hey, Lori, anything you want to roll it?
I can go into my update.
Go ahead.
Like, so today is focused on community engagement, which I'm really excited about. Just wanted to kind of go over some of the things that we're really trying to focus on as a community engagement is really working towards those core mission aligned events and initiatives. So we kind of wrote out, if you could go to the next slide, one of our main focuses is really market at the center, creating a platform for the community to get involved. The stock show is a very big community participation where we provide like the parade for our kids that are in the elementaries, local elementaries. We have cultural access and community ticket programs, and then also our community resource distribution and GS-led event support. We go to the next slide. So we've talked about Market at the Center and all of the fun things that it does. We partner with CSU. They do year-round activation for Second Saturday. How we have kind of fit into that mold is really making sure that we are a seasonal platform for community members as well as young or local entrepreneurs and free activation so families and community members can really attend and enjoy the campus with no financial hardship or barriers. So we have activated the riverfront where we have community zone, which will have a lot of the community local. I don't know what I said, but everybody's leaving. But you know, but what did I say? But, the focus is really Market at the Center. This year, we're really excited because we're going to have all the partners. We've got CSU Spur, the Legacy, and then obviously the National Western Center. We're coming together to really make this an impactful Market at the Center and really have those themed activations. So that's really, really something I'm looking forward to. This May 9th, for the second Saturday, we are focusing on Mother Earth and Mother's Day. And so we'll have a bouquet bar. We're going to have painting, educational performances. Just really excited about this May. I put flyers on each of the tables. That can just go on your refrigerator, go at your desk, but each event will have a run of the show. So every second Saturday, it'll show the activations. So it'll change out per theme. We've got a really robust theme this year. We've got the Ducky Derby. Legacy is opening their doors for having some artists perform at the saloon. And we're really looking forward to having that activated. And they're going to be selling food as well as our back to school. We're really still trying to focus on making sure that we are a resource for families in the GS neighborhood to get school supplies, backpacks, and really support that GS community. So we're going to go to the next one. And so we talked about Stock Show and like the presence of what it means to have this activation every year. We work with Garden Place Academy and Swansea Elementary. They are local elementary schools. So there are 20 students that are identified that get to participate. They are nominated by their teachers based off attendance and grades, and they get to be part of it. Last year, we had so much fun. We take a bus, we get them all decorated. We, just have food. The kids love it, and it is one of their favorite events. I will be scanning the thank you letters. I was going to have them out today, but I didn't get a chance to, but just more thank you notes of, thank you for letting me be part of it. I didn't know this was happening. Just really exciting. Last year, we did over 300 community free tickets that we were able to sponsor, I think a total of 82 full families to go to a rodeo that had never been. We keep a tally. So every year we have a database, and our goal is not to give tickets to the same person. It's really to activate and get more community members involved. WSSA was gracious enough to give us additional grounds admission tickets. So we were able to give community members they could choose the day that they came, they walked around. It's just such a community activation, and it's really such a great thing that we were able to offer. The reception and rodeo, that was my favorite. We were able to do it at the Legacy. Thank you to Wes. But last year we had served about 50 people, and this year we had over 200 people attend. And that was a room full of community members, stakeholders, businesses, community individuals. So we all got to come together. We had the presence of some great city council members, but those are the opportunities that we're really just saying thank you for attending CAC, being part of the conversation, part of the community. So I really that's one of my favorite events. Shout out, Wes. And then we've got the next one.
Hey, before you jump, Joe, could you talk a little bit about the Ducky Derby?
Yeah, sure. Ducky Derby. This is being tied into Center on the Market. It's an attempt to do a fundraising event here for the campus, where we can raise money to put towards the CIF. It's going to be its first annual. We were just down planning it with the 100-year floodplain folks and Denver Parks and Rec. We'll be putting in down near CSU, actually, kind of where they're doing the landing at Betty Graham. There'll be only operational people down in the river. Could be a low flow this year due to circumstances, but we're still going to kind of put forward with it. There'll be these tickets will go on sale. You get a ducky when you purchase it. There'll be a corporate level, there'll be community level, there'll be a regular level. I don't know what it's called. I'm sorry, I don't know the level names right now. However, we're really going to be activating that and trying to get everybody involved. And then if we can get a bit of competitiveness going on between WSSA, CSU, NUCO, and ourselves to do maybe a kickoff rubber ducky float to start it off. There'll be a band playing. And then the other kind of, as this is continue to grow, is a lot of water resources. CSU in particular, we kick this off because that's their theme, water on that one. We have a lot of groups who are really engaging with wanting to talk about the river, talk about water, talk about water resources. So it could be a fun event on that day.
You done all the duckies in there at CSU. Where do they end up? How do you win?
You win. Well, hopefully nobody gets overly competitive in this, although Brad has brought up the concept to like, not to win,
So I'm
so
thinking like
there's ways.
radio controlled, you know, like.
Yeah.
A sail on top of it.
Your own special.
Right.
Don't they end up somewhere where's that?
We'll be catching them down at 51st, basically.
51st.
Mhm, yeah, we talked about it,
I was thinking like down the straw.
funnels in there, we can position it. If you drop in right at 51st on the bridge, you have a good chance of winning, but,
I was voting for a shooting event where if they make it past a certain point, you take a shot. No?
yeah, I mean, really, plus we have an archery part into this.
Like the record. We're gonna let the record reflect that
Everybody
the
to buy
shooting-
duck.
Yeah.
You know, there's gonna be corporate ducks and they're super affordable. It's like $10 for individuals and $100 for companies.
You can buy as many as you'd like.
And you can buy as many as you like.
It all benefits the CIF.
Yes, goes to CIF.
We're gonna let the record reflect that the
Yeah.
word was said.
Don't open that door.
I think Mark has to make a comment on.
We're gonna make sure that the record reflects the shooting reference is said in jest.
I'm not sure you said.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So it benefits the CIF, Joe?
I'm sorry.
It benefits the CIF? Is it their
Yes.
event or our event?
It's us raising money to give to the CIF.
This is our first
After
event
cost.
for the CIF directly.
I'm sorry.
This is our first event that directly.
First
benefits-
dedicated event,
Mhm.
yes.
Yeah, okay.
And this is a dumb question, but like they're aware of it and stuff, right?
Yeah, so we will have a conversation with the CBC, that we'll put that on the agenda where we discuss it.
Okay.
Mhm.
It's great.
Yeah, once we have all the final details and kind of the run of the show and the lay of the land. But we're really looking forward to that. Also, that is in July, and we are working with UCAN on doing a workforce ribbon cutting for their program that's in place, and the mayor is supposed to be speaking in July. So more of these details will come as we get closer.
Who you can.
Armando Payan and Berta,
Which is happening this morning,
yeah.
right over here.
Community
It's
member.
pretty remarkable program.
It
really cool. Workforce
Yeah.
training, Les and National Western have been super supportive and, I think, how many kids in the program?
There's about 13 people that show up every day. So a lot of times you see that where they start to decline the more the classes are. They have 13 strong from the beginning to the end. And so those students are given those skill sets to pass the aptitude test, which will then align with them to get into the trades and to get their electrical trades. And we
They end up with an
OSHA training.
certificate.
And like, there's a little book that they get and they can look at the different types of trades that they are offered at no cost. And then hopefully it gives them the opportunity to then be available and working for the equestrian center when that does build out. It's wonderful. The students are so engaged. The instructors are pretty great. But like I said, 13 strong, and that's really hard. You usually see a decline, but they are there and they are asking the questions. They are showing up. But they are two local high schools, the Colorado High School Charter, as well as Bruce Randolph. Steve and Armando were going to the schools. They were talking about these opportunities, but to see this in place and they're showing up every day, it's wonderful. So shout out, it's my last flight as well.
This program has the opportunity of really growing into something significant. I mean, can you imagine that partnering with AGC or ABC or HCC, you know, and there's so many opportunities there.
Yeah, so many. All right, so then the next one, and we'll talk about that again towards the end, but one of the things that we focused on last year is how do we bring We Don't Waste. It was this is a food desert, so we were really trying to find resources that really were impactful for GES. So last year we partnered with We Don't Waste, brings that food market, as well as baby essentials, diapers, formula, all items. So this year we're taking the focus on, hey, how can we be more impactful during these events, the first Friday of every month while these events are happening? So how we've grown the We Don't Waste and the resources is now we're able to serve 400 families each month. We used to only be able to serve a max of 250. We've been able to increase in that manner. We bring the We Cycle diapers, they bring books, they bring youth daycare, free preschool. I mean, just so many wonderful resources that really do focus on what resources we can support our community. And then Compost Colorado, they come and they give out free compost to all of our residents that are in the GS neighborhood, as well as the people that are just, they're coming for those food needs. Last year, they were able to give out 29 cubic yards. This year, we're going to be tracking more. The knowledge of, hey, there's free compost and now we're in spring. So I know it'll increase, but just wanted to say that this is such a wonderful opportunity for us to be able to not just have it, but to build on it and provide a standard once a month. They know that this space is for them to get food resources, baby essentials, as well as some other resources. We'll have some triangle information for people to be able to sign up, give their input. It's just a great platform. So yeah. And then one of the things that I really did learn last year, just listening to the community members, seeing how National Western Center can really tie into and not disrupt people's events. And it was really just having National Western Center at a lot of their already existing events that are currently being offered. So focus points, we've got Globeville First, Prodigy. How can we be present in their already service related events? So that has really been impactful. And I've just been really grateful that they've opened that opportunity for me to show up and kind of be present. We're here to support and expand services. So that has really been a main focus for at least National Western Center for this year. All right, the next one. Oh, I thought mine moved, sorry. It does not. So then the next one is cultural access and community tickets. We've always been able to provide community tickets to some of the events that are being offered on campus. And that has been such a great opportunity. But one of my roles is to really get out in the community, meet the other partners to see how we can open up the access to cultural events like the March Powwow. We have a lot of the events that are happening at Denver Museum of Nature and Science, the Denver Center of Performing Arts. That has been a new partnership that started towards the end of last year. So they offer free tickets to go to these theater shows that are usually about $80, but they have offered that to our community. And we've had, I think, 6 shows in 2025 that we were offered, and we were able to get out to the GS communities. So even though they're not a campus partner, they really are trying to create this availability for us to have our GS families go out. So that is really a big focus for us. Last year, we were able to give out 2,500 tickets. To date, as of yesterday, we've already given out 932 tickets, and that is for them to attend campus activations, going to the theater, going to Denver Museum of Nature and Science. But that is our role and that's our focus. Obviously, that's the bread to my butter. Is I love this stuff, and it's how do we engage more activations for our families and our community. All right. So then another way that we activate is really our monthly meetings, our CAC. We have several partners that just show up and they're giving impactful updates. CSU Spur shows up every month giving us those updates of what's happening on campus. How can our community attend? So, and then we've got NewCo. We're great that they've given out impactful, really great information, mostly regarding the triangle. That's a big focus. So that's a big topic. We've got our team that I usually give out updates on what's happening, how many resources are out there, and how can we connect them. And Dottie has been giving updates on just all of the construction and the transportation barriers that we have. WSSA and the community stakeholders. This is really their platform to be able to share also with the people that are in that room, what's happening, how can they get involved, how can we partner, and it's just been growing to this day. So right now we have about 42 participants that are actively coming every month. So we're really looking forward to just growing that and getting more conversations and topics at these meetings. And then I think it was the last board meeting, we kind of talked about CBC. One of the things that we really are focusing on, how can we add more of a robust agenda? How can we have more conversation on what is happening with the CIF? Ernest, I just really appreciate his open conversation we had at that last meeting, is how can we give impactful report outs, but then also have a platform for them to report in on all of the community benefits that are provided on campus. I did put the slide in here, just wanted to let you guys know that as of July of 2026, we have contributed to Community Investment Fund of $772,000. That does include the $400,000 that was given for technical assistance. But if you look, it's just continuing to grow with the contributions, just because the campus and all of the partners are being very creative on how we can raise more funds for the CIF. They just closed their grant cycle on April 6th. So in July, I think it's June or July, they're going to be announcing the recipients of those grants. So looking forward to that. I also will share out the invitation. They would love to have you guys attend their kind of unveiling of their grant to those recipients. So I'll be sending that out as soon as I get it. But that is one big thing is, we want to be able to be as transparent as possible of like, what are the ways that we're continuing to go for the Community Investment Fund and support that fund at the end.
And so 196 was what we gave them, what we drew last year.
Yeah, so July of
It says 26, so.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, and so 2026, we don't know what that is yet, so just slide those years.
Yeah, I will.
But it will be in excess of last year's.
Yeah, sorry, I did not see that. But and then as of February 1st, we're currently at 127,000, and that was as February 1st. So we're already getting so close. I mean, we're gonna exceed that 196.
When everybody's focused on the CIF, that's great. Reading through the minutes, I appreciate your comments, Ernest, about managing expectations, about where some of those conversations take place. And that's what it's going to be effective there. So it's kind of, we all want to grow that and we're making progress, but I appreciate you staying engaged and managing those expectations. So.
Thank you. Yeah, Ernest was great. Just that open dialogue is so important when we have these CBC. We're here to listen and learn and kind of grow. So I am reporting out for procurement. So we've got 45% of the 2025 operational spend was spent with local, small, disadvantaged, minority-owned or woman-owned businesses. The longest acronym ever. So, but 3.6 million was flowing to those business types. So it's growing, and our qualified spend doubled from 2024. So over 300 jobs, we've collectively have provided 1,500 over campus activations through the start. Just a lot of great things. That is another thing that we are going to be adding to CBC is the job creation and the spend to our agenda with CBC, just to make sure that we tighten up the reporting, tighten up kind of the report out. So yeah, just looking forward to that. But that does fall under our CBC agenda.
Where does this spend fall relative to the goal?
So we have a 35% utilization goal. We hit it, we exceeded that by 45%. So we were at 45%. And we're continuing to do better. Our goal is not everybody is reporting, not everybody is getting those numbers to us. So we know we've already exceeded that even more. But this is what we can report on, but we've exceeded it.
And by we, you literally mean we, there's no city requirement that you establish a 35%.
That's correct. Yeah, we're not in the city's NWB program, and honestly, we listed that so that we can be more creative and work with small businesses that aren't NWB certified through the city, which is a hard process to go through. We will support them then, once they get into our system, to become certified. But I just want to thank this board and the partners, because you don't get thank yous very often. There are some loud voices out there that say we don't do enough or they're not seeing it. My suggestion is they're not looking close enough. They're not looking at the data. This is this is unheard of percentages right here. For a project of this scale to be putting that kind of investment, the job numbers aside, which are significant also, but the dollars, the percent of the spend that has stayed around that 50% mark, even as we've grown, that happens only with intention and the support of this board and the support of the partners. So it is very significant and something we should all be very, very proud of.
All right, and so the next one, I just wanted to say what's new this year. So one of the things I really wanted to make sure that we are reporting out and being impactful with how we're supporting our campuses, really having a reporting platform that we can focus on each year. So 2025, we've got a lot of numbers that we have been able to collect. We hope to grow this reporting platform so we can share this out to you every month. Like if we have our 2025 numbers, we have, let's say, almost 600,000 pounds that were diverted from waste because of our We Don't Waste. We want to have this platform for you guys to be able to actively get the numbers that you need. And we're going to continue to grow this platform. If you all have suggestions, please email me on what you would like to see on this reporting platform. This is new. This is not like this is the only thing we're going to report on. But, I ask you guys just to send me what you would like to see more of when we're reporting out on our community benefits. So I wanted to show that to you and, happy to share that as needed. And then for our next one, we are talking about Armando. So I have a great picture that we wanted to do, just kind of a community spotlight of all the great things that he's doing. We've already talked about it, but I just wanted to follow it up with a picture. He is doing some great work in the GS community, and I just really appreciate him showing up for our community as well as attending. He's a big part of the Market at the Center community zone that we're offering again this year. So just a big shout out. Some of the things that we do have upcoming that I wanted to touch on. Sandra, I'm so sad that she had to leave, but I want her to take care of herself. But she has her Blue and Bloom, which is an event on April 30th. It is for female and men. So I will share that with you guys. If you want to attend, please do. She's got a lot of great information. It's a celebration and she'll be providing food and there's a DJ. So always here to support Caroline and Sandra, but any community member that are just going above and beyond for our community. Tomorrow we are doing where there are King Soopers and US Hunger. We're coming together to do 1 million meal kits. So it's an opportunity for all of the community members to be able to be part of, packing, volunteering, and getting these boxes filled with food to our community members. So that is all day tomorrow. I will make sure I update you, but their goal is to hit 2,500 volunteers, and we'll be packing, having music, listening, and then making sure that food goes out to the community. And we'll be doing this on the Stockyard Event Center. Another thing that we have upcoming in 2026, we're having conversations about the food forest that will be here on Ray Street, Market at the Center. And then another great initiative is we're working with Sandra and CSU Spur on doing monthly cooking classes for the GES families.
Recording in progress.
So yeah, that's all I have. If you guys have any questions,
Any questions for Lori? Yeah, sure.
That's more of a comment. Thank you, Lori and Joe and the team. We'll provide more information about the CBC, our last CBC meeting here in a little bit, but the Denver March Powwow was just held. Thank you for coordinating getting tickets for folks to go out to that. From what I've heard, huge turnout. I was there for 2 of the 3 days. The mayor came out and we were talking about the future. It's the second largest, I sound like a broken record, but it's the second largest powwow in the country. The first is in Albuquerque, which is happening at the end of this month. And they announced last year that one is closing down due to funding and coordination. So the opportunity for Denver to be the largest is right there. And so we've been talking to the mayor's office, and of course, the effort with the tribal embassy that I'm talking about constantly. But aside from that, I think the leading up to the Denver March Powwow, Lori and team and Steve were also trying to coordinate a meeting touring or giving, the Denver March Powwow Coordinating Committee, a tour of our location and what that might look like. It was a little too soon, but hopefully we can move on something for the 2027 timeframe to have some of other facilities be involved in that to make it the footprint much larger. And I think we'll also be looking at trying to host meetings here related to the tribal embassy. So the focal point around, I think the Native American community really getting more involved, not just with events, but with meetings and having more presence in the community on campus is gonna be huge. So just wanted to give a shout out to the team for the coordination of trying to get that all done in that timeframe.
Thanks, Ernest.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lori. That jump down to Lori, just because we were the community benefits with Sandra and Caroline, just in the same kind of vein. So we'll go back to the financial updates on the committee reports. Mitzi?
Okay, so we're still have some preliminary numbers right now for Q1, which we're working with SFA right now to separate the 3 lines of business that they have going on between traditional triangle business, legacy, and ourselves. But through the month of March, our operating revenue was at 4.3 million, which is 33% of our $13 million budget. There's an additional, I do have sales numbers for food and beverage, which is 417,000. So at 1.6 million booked for events, that would bring us close to 2 million for events through Q1. Operating expenses right now are at 2.6 million or 17% of the $15.4 million budget. The first draft financials I received from SSA for February had the combined margin for the total book of business at 29%. And then March, just got those the other day, looking at closer to 21% for the margin. So we're gonna see those fluctuations just based on when the actual activities are happening related to SSA. Net operating margin through Q1 was at $1.7 million. And then when we combined EQC and capital improvement projects and district energy, we're sitting at 1.8 million in net revenue for Q1. Any questions?
Any questions for Mitzi?
Thank you.
Thanks, Mitzi.
You're welcome.
Campus services and partnerships, no meeting this week, but Rob, any updates though?
No, it's,
Thanks a lot. We already did the community benefits with Ernest and Lord.
Hey, Joe.
Yeah.
Actually, can I add a couple more?
Oh, sure.
Sorry, I wanted to make sure and emphasize, I mean, you have the report there. But we had a really interesting conversation and meeting with CBC, and I think it also has been stemming from questions that Caroline's brought up, Deidre's brought up around CIF for coming to a board meeting, presenting information at the board meeting. At the last board conversation, or the last board meeting, the discussion was to really have the more robust conversation at the committee level, which is understandable. I presented that information. But then we also presented restructuring, this idea of restructuring the CBC agenda to be more broad, to be more transparent, and provide more reporting of the data and really the financials that we collect. You know, I'll look to Steve to explain a little bit more about that. I feel like it was well received, but as you can see from Lori's numbers, luckily, the numbers are continuing to grow. Therefore, more questions, I think, come from the community about what CBC's role is, how other community organizations outside CIF can or should participate, and then what type of conversation gets brought up to the board. I think those are legitimate questions. And I think that at the end of the day, the goal is to be able to have some type of format and process moving into the future where CIF can present not only who they're awarding to, how much they're awarding, but then being able to provide that transparency to the board, which I think is legitimate. But the bigger, broader conversation, and actually we didn't have enough time within our committee timeframe to follow up on a series of questions that we need to get into the weeds on. And in talking with Brad, I mean, it's a unique opportunity. I think you all, when the CBC was created, when the framework was developed, which was prior to my time and I was here when CBC was created. These are good problems to have, but it's also going to bring up a little bit more potential ways to think outside of the box on how CBC can be more effective and transparent with the community. I don't know, Steve, what would you say outside of that?
Yeah, I think that covers it. I can highlight the proposed changes to the agenda that we discussed. A lot of this is reflecting what Lori presented, and it is the Community Benefits Committee. So we want to report out on the community benefits that we are providing, run through the spend on our local small business, minority women-owned business enterprises, excuse me, jobs, year-to-date, CIF revenue fiscal year-to-date, events like Market at the Center, project-related community benefits, which would be the equestrian package that we've been discussing in great detail, CAC updates, and then any other benefits that we're working on at the authority report out level. There was a request for partners to also report out at the camps that CSU is leading, or questions around that, and if we could integrate into our agenda partner community benefit updates, and then community updates. What is the CIF report out? Grants issued, what are those grantees doing? And then also trying to get more members of the public to show up and report out on what they're up to. So that's the proposed agenda, and the one piece of feedback that we did receive is more around partner community benefit updates. To go in a little bit more detail around the fiscal sponsorship question that we've been getting, we recently set up a meeting, and we're trying to set up a meeting right now to better understand the flow of funds. So we issue 196,000 last year to a fiscal sponsor. That fiscal sponsor then takes a fee from those dollars and then distributes to individual grantee fiscal sponsors. That fiscal sponsor takes another fee. And so we're trying to understand if there's a way to get more money ultimately to the grantee and better understand the flow of funds. We are not experts in fiscal sponsorship. We're trying to become experts and get more money out to GDS. Is there a way that there's a smaller percentage as just a pass through? Can the fiscal sponsor for the CIF also be the fiscal sponsor for the ultimate grantee? We want to explore these questions a little more because we're getting a lot of questions from community members about that.
Now, obviously, we oversee the CBC, but once they make the grant to the CIF, we have a hands-off attitude, but we do have a responsibility to know where the funds go.
That's right.
I've never quite understood how once you give it to the CIF, and the ultimate grantee down here, what the fiscal sponsors do, and the middleman, I mean, obviously they provide a role. I'm not sure exactly what that is, how that works. I think it would be good for all of us to understand, because I've heard some feedback on it too. Yeah, Bill.
You know, it might be worth touching base with Gail Clapper of the Colorado Forum, because they've set up a Colorado Forum Fund, I believe, and they're a fiscal sponsor, and they have they dealt with the same thing. They got rid of one of the people.
Good.
But I don't know how they did it. It'd be worth picking her brain on it. And I don't know if they would be a fiscal sponsor, but
If we are seeking to understand here, we're
Yeah, I agree.
defining a
The
problem.
fiscal sponsor has some fiduciary responsibility. Yeah, I think it's good to understand, because we're getting some feedback. And it's, like I said, it's a good problem to have. As the numbers get bigger, have more questions. But again, getting back to our board, we have an obligation just to make sure we don't pick the recipients. We do have a responsibility to make sure that the process is very transparent and very good. Christina?
I just have to add my own 2 cents to that. When we sit here every month, our agendas are so full and we've got so many things to deal with. We can't fully appreciate the complexity that goes on in the community. We do a short report and we talk about the wonderful things we've done, but our role has grown. They have grown, their expectations have grown, tensions, relationship tensions sometimes get in the way. I mean, Mike and Steve go to these meetings and they're crazy. And I think that in terms of a process,
have relied on our two community representatives, which is the right thing to do, right? But it's so much bigger than that. They each have their own constituent groups, and Caroline can weigh in if she wants to, but it's really, really difficult. It's really, really complex. And it requires constant management because it can be great one day and all the work that we do can be well received, and the next day, the question's always, what have you done for me lately? And it's just too big for two community members to kind of handle on their own. And so as we've grown, it became necessary to have a new process. There's more information, there are more players, there are more issues. And so it's really great to be able to say to the community, we're aware of this and we're managing it appropriately. And now we have a process for you to bring information to us. We can, take information from the board and bring it back to you. So it's just to me, it's a huge step forward for us. And I think it's gonna pay dividends for sure. Will we ever, get 100% vote of happiness? Absolutely not, but at least we can say we're managing our responsibilities effectively.
And Lori and Steve and Mike, I think we have all the right players at the table to understand the issue, so. Okay, we are in committee of benefits. Anything else that we talked about? We talked about, we were saying Lori's on the committee update.
Friendly amendment to my previous comments. When I was talking about the block captains, I was remiss in not acknowledging that Sandra is one of our block captains. That's what she was mentioning. And I feel terrible that I wasn't able to give her the shout out that she deserves. She is such a dedicated community member. And so her and her son are out there flyering, doing the block captain tasks that we've asked those. She's one of our 15. I just wanted to
Excellent. Yeah, I don't know how Sandra has enough hours in the day. He's always got something going on. He's a producer.
But then those 15, how many are like Elyria, Swansea, Globeville? Is it pretty divided?
I'll make sure we bring that. We have all that data. I don't have it handy. It's a fairly good distribution.
That's amazing.
And it's still open, so we're still looking for more. We'd love to get up to that 25 number, but we're happy that we're at the good start.
Great, thanks, Mike. Public comment, we have anybody on the line?
We do not have anyone.
Okay, so no public comment today. No motion to move into executive session. Second. Mark.
Thank you. The Board of Directors of the National Election Center Authority desires to convene an executive session pursuant to section 24-6-402 sub 4 B, E, and F to get advice from counsel, to discuss matters related to negotiations and procurement, and to give direction on those matters, and also employment matters. The board will not adopt any proposed policy, position, resolution, rule, regulation, or formal action during this executive session. In fact, by law, may not do so. This executive session will be recorded, and the recording will be maintained in the books and records of the National Election Center Authority. This statement is being made pursuant to statute and record. Are there any questions before the chair asks for a vote?
They would motion second, all in favor, say aye. Opposed. We are now in executive session. We are now in public session again. Anything else for this meeting? Excited about the real estate coming along, excited about the community issues coming along. A quick question on the Saturday, who oversees, is that CSU or is that the authority?
It's CSU's kind of hallmark event, and we just use it to align a lot of other stuff too.
I think John, we're all tagging on to it.
Yeah.
Like, we're all just kind of standing together on that deal.
That's fantastic. I just didn't know who was actually. That's, yeah, it's good to hear everybody's involved.
As the market at the center project started to gain some traction, we said, let's let's piggyback on that second Saturday. Now WSSA is involved in having their building opened, and so it's grown into, that's the day for the community to be here.
Great. And compliments to Alexi for the menu outside. That was quite upgrade. Yes, no, or budget busters, but let's go on. Anything else, Miss Mead? We are adjourned.